Hello, this is Bryce on the floor coming at you with another tennis improvement video. And today I would like to compare this amateur player's serve side by side Roger Federer's serve to give you guys some insights about how you can improve your serve out there on the tennis court. And this player is a very good example of a player to analyze because he's struggling with a common serve problem that many players are struggling with. So notice what's happening when this player starts his serve, all right? And notice how his racket strings are facing the sky here. All right. This is a common problem that we call waiter's tray. Okay. Basically, when his palm is facing up, okay, another way to call this problem is called palm up. And notice how his strings are facing the sky. Okay. And that's a very serious problem when it comes to hitting a good serve because what this is doing is it's decreasing the efficiency and the racket head speed. So we're not going to be able to hit with as much power as we would otherwise be able to serve if we were able to correct this problem. And also that's going to affect things like consistency, accuracy, and stress on our body. Okay, so we want to make sure we serve like Roger Federer. Okay, so let's take a look at some elements in Roger Federer's serve. Okay, so first of all, Roger Federer is starting with the racket tip facing the side like this, okay? And then at this position, he's moving the racket kind of just over the head like this. Notice if you can realize what's happening, he's kind of moving the racket just over the head like this, and that's what we call the right to left movement. Notice how he's just kind of moving the racket like this over the head. And then the next thing we want to look at is a element called the racket drop. Okay, so at this point he's doing the racket drop and then he's leading with the edge of the racket and then he barely opens up right when he's going to contact the ball. So at this point the racket is still essentially on edge and he just opens up right when he's going to hit the ball. Literally right when he's going to hit the ball he opens the racket. And notice how this player, he opens the racket almost completely way before he's going to hit the ball and leads with the palm. He leads with he leads with the palm instead of the racket on edge, just like Roger Federer. He doesn't really lead with that racket on edge right here. Okay, so this is what we need to do to fix this critical palm up or waiter's tray problem, okay? And it's two things that we talk a lot about on this channel, but it's two things that we really, really need to work on with many players, okay? So the first thing is the grip, okay? When it comes to a tennis stroke, it goes grip, swing, body, and we want to take a look at the grip, okay? This player is likely not in continental grip, okay? All right, it's a little bit hard to see, but it's confusing his mind when he hits the ball because he's not in continental grip. Okay? All right, so notice how he moves the racket up here and notice where the palm is facing, okay? And he moves the racket like that because he's not in the continental grip and he's trying and his mind is is a biocomputer. His mind is very intelligent, but he can't hit the ball properly because the palm is already facing up when he's about to serve. Now let's take a look at Roger Federer, okay? Roger Federer is in that continental grip. It's a little bit hard to see, but Roger Federer is in the continental grip. So when he moves up, his racket is initially down, so it's easier to keep the racket down instead of moving palm up, okay? Because his racket is already in a better position. So the first thing that we need to do with this player is he needs to get to continental grip. So you want to move the knuckle and the heel pad to bevel number 2, okay? So so you want to move the knuckle and the heel pad to bevel number 2, and that's going to be your continental grip, okay? Refer to my grip video about how grips work, okay? All right, you might need to, not go completely to bevel number 2 because that could be a really hard fix, but we want to make sure we slowly and gradually get to bevel 2 because your serve is going to really plateau if we're not going to be able to get the proper grip, okay? All right, and then you're going to keep struggling with this waiter's tray problem, okay? So the next thing that we want to do is we want to practice the right to left movement, okay? So let's go back to Roger's serve, all right? And I want you to see if you can understand the right to left movement, all right? So Roger Federer is starting with the racket here, okay? The racket tip is facing the side fence. And then look at the next step when he moves his racket. So the racket goes from this position to this position, okay? So it's going up like this, like basically over the head, okay? That's where we see it's moving right to left just over the head, okay? And that's that right to left movement. All right? So this right to left movement will naturally lead into what we call the racket drop movement right here, okay? We have to master that right to left movement first, okay? So notice how the racket just moves over the head. Then that's a great indicator of the right to left movement. Okay. However, on you, the racket is initially just moving up. Okay. So what you want to do is get into continental grip and just simply shadow swing. Practice without the ball. Simply shadow going over the head, just like that. Simply do 30 shadow swings a day for a month. Just moving the racket in this position. Okay. And another little trick that you can do is take a ball and kind of put it in the throat of the racket like this. All right, take a ball, put it in the throat of the racket, and try to keep the ball in the throat of the racket without the ball falling out as you shadow swing that right to left movement, and then that will help you keep the racket in the proper right to left movement. Okay, so do that right to left movement and then drop the racket, and then you're going to be ready to serve just like Roger Federer. Okay, so thank you so much. It's been Bryce on the floor with another tennis improvement video. Like, comment, subscribe. Ask me any questions in the descriptions. And if you would like a free consultation, contact me in my Discord group and we can talk about how I can personally help you. Thank you so much and great luck out there on the tennis court.